So I'm gonna just drop this in. Feeling very strong right now. I've got a lot going on right now. So launch analytics, got my first official beta tester up and going. Let me switch this over so I can get better sound quality for you guys. 1 second. Alright, looks something like that. That's a little bit better. Let's play this kind of in the background. Alright, cool. So I'm about to jump into Calendly, get this all set up. I'm going to take a look at the link itself. So I've got this launch analytics link. Sending this over to somebody. I don't think you can see this. Good. I don't want you to see that. Anyways. Okay. Connected to demo the tool. Please follow the prompts. There's a survey attached. There's also a few a short survey attached. All right, so there we go. There's that. Got that going. The tool itself looks like this. So launch analytics. Let me fix my Chrome capture. This always happens. Does anybody I gotta figure out what's going on. This is happening a little too much for me. There's launch analytics. Essentially this tool I built, put it together, got a back-end developer involved, make sure everything worked correctly, and it's really, without getting too deep into it, it is a lot of what I spoke about for organized automation. And if you don't know, if you're new, what, since when? No, this is not helpful. What's going on? Since when? Organized automation isn't working right now. Interesting. That's not fun. This is the tool. Those are my videos.
Hey there, data-driven marketers and developers. Today we're diving deep into the world of Google API's automation. We'll cover 4 powerful APIs that can revolutionize your analytics and advertising workflows, including Google Analytics 4 API, GA4 Measurement Protocol API, Google Tag Manager API, and Google Ads API. Let's get started. First, let's look at the Google Analytics 4 API, which allows us to access and analyze our GA4 data programmatically. We can create a basic report showing key metrics by date and device category. This gives you a quick overview of your key metrics, which you can easily customize for different dimensions and metrics. Imagine being able to automatically generate reports that show your active users, new users, sessions, and engagement rates across different devices, all with just a few lines of code. Also, we can dive deeper with a cohort analysis. This type of analysis helps you understand user retention over time, a crucial metric for any business. Now let's explore the GA4 Measurement Protocol API, which allows us to send events directly to Google Analytics 4 from any internet-connected device. This API allows you to send custom events to GA4 from your server, which is perfect for tracking back-end processes or offline conversions. You can also use this API to update user properties. This is incredibly powerful for enhancing your user data and enabling advanced segmentation. Imagine being able to update a user's lifetime value, subscription status, or account tier in real time based on actions they take in your system. This allows for much more sophisticated analysis and personalization. Moving on to the Google Tag Manager API, which allows us to automate our tag management processes. We can use this API to create a new GTM container with a basic setup, including a GA4 configuration tag and an all pages trigger. The GTM API also allows us to update multiple tags at once. This is incredibly useful for maintaining and updating large GTM.
Alright, y'all don't have to watch.
We can also create scripts to audit.
Yeah, basically it's that. And I'll be able to make things happen programmatically. And remember, this all happened. You guys don't know. You don't remember this because I wasn't streaming any of this back when it was happening. So not even Notebook. It was called Code. What was it called? Collab. And it looks like this. I think it was google.collab.com or maybe it's collab.google.com. Like that, yeah. I don't know what just happened. That was weird. So it looks something like this. The thing about the organized automation site, I gotta log in and figure out what's going on. I don't want to do that live though. Let's not do that right now. Anyways, very strange. This looks a little like, let me see, where did I have it? I think it was this one. Here, and I offered this as a free code for people to use. So this was connected to my service accounts, so I was able to kind of automate certain things and set up for a service account, especially authentication, so being able to use Google to log in and then use these tools. So I took it a step further, and now we have a version of this that allows you to log in and use everything. Now, it's not this pretty just yet. It is a beta version, but I can show you guys kind of like the beginning points of that, and it looks like, let me see if I can find a link, a quick link to it. I don't think so. I think I have let's see. This one right here. And when I can sign in, make sure you guys can see this. Yep. So it looks a little something like that, and then I gotta go pick an account that is currently showing. So I've got it today, yesterday, 7 days, 30 days. So yeah, it looks a little something like that. I can go yesterday and try to find something that's got some revenue. I don't think they didn't make any money over the past 2 days, which is kind of strange. check that. I don't know if I trust that 100%. Let's check. It's the aspect ratio here. And they didn't make any money yesterday. Did not make any money today. But they made $1.6 million over the past 14 days. So I don't know what the hell's going on where people are buying for an entire day. It's pretty strange. But let's do 7 days and we'll look at this one. I've learned that key events aren't really very good as a metric here. Maybe let's go purchase rate. So let's get a rate 1.3. We got 640 and then we got 541. So let's take a look at it. 7 days. 594. And we've got 1 million. So 7 days. And we can auto refresh every 15 seconds. Why not? Right? I really don't need to. It's a 7 day period, so let's just leave that alone. Then we've got the CVR by traffic source, so you can kind of see where the revenue is coming from, which is this smaller green number, which I thought was kind of cool. So most of the money is unassigned as of right now. So what this does is it's kind of twofold. For me, obviously, I like the fact that we have all these default channels and things set up. But then on top of that, it lets you know where you can improve the data feed, because this data is coming in from GA4. And with that being the case, it seems that it would be worth it to see where 280,000 sessions and $138,000 is really coming from, and drilling down into that, if you care to know. Like, you have to have the type of client that actually wants to know that. Otherwise, they'll just rely on what they have here. And on top of that, I mean, it's $1 million that was generated in the past 7 days, according to this, versus total revenue of this one saying $600,000. So there's $400,000 that's unaccounted for some reason. So that's something to think about. And I've noticed that these numbers have been accurate up until now. So it might be something, it might not be something. Key events, there's only 28 that it's showing. Maybe that's purchases. Let's go back and check. And so we can go CVR 1.3. That's what purchase rate is. This is 1.9. So there's something that's not getting accounted for here. I'm not 100% sure what it might be, but let's play around and try to see if we can figure it out. So 73% on the bounce rate. It's about right. Let me try to get an average order value. I'll just type it in. I forget where it's at. $144. This one's 108. And then we got event count in general. Let's see what that looks like. This event count is 1.8 million events counted versus 5,200 events counted. This is off. Something's off. One of these is off. I don't know which one. Let's see. Let's just go to today's. See if I can drill down and simplify it. 59,000 sessions for today. Sessions. This got 3.1. Where are these sessions coming from? And how are they being counted here in comparison? I wonder why. 28% on the engagement rate here versus there. So I'm not 100% sure how this is showing up that way. However, it's the first time that I've come across this issue in the time that I've been using this tool. So of course it starts whenever I start streaming, because why wouldn't it? Okay, so if I go back and I look at engagement rate for this, we got a hell of sessions here. 27% on the engagement rate. Or I'm sorry, that's engagement rate. I need to go purchase rate. .8, that's about right. Cool. Revenues should be at 5 million. Cool. Okay, so now the numbers are matching up. Yeah, there's something going on with that 7-day. So let me shoot my developer a quick note. Okay, so this is literally the first time the numbers didn't match. I just sent that to my dev. So, excuse me. We'll see what's going on there. Let's go event count. Let's look at the event count. There's 4,600 only. Something going on with event count. I don't think that, is it key events or is it just event count? 38K on key events. And then 22. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that. And then active users. I know for a fact that that's not right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to send over. Yeah, 1.7 million people have used the site versus. And that could be something as simple as pulling from the wrong API, or bounce rate seems about right. Let's check it. Yeah, 72.3. Close enough. And then, so bounce rate seems okay. Engagement rate is 27%. So engagement rate is the same thing as purchase rate, I think. Or is it? No, it's not. It's not. Sorry. Engagement rate 27. Yep. And then purchase rate is here, and then this is engagement rate. So these are good. Total sessions 2.6. Let's check that. Bounce rate is good. Total sessions. .7 sounds about right. Yep, sessions is good. Active users, event count. Yeah, let me write this all down. What's page views? Page views definitely isn't right. There's no way in hell that's right. So let's take a look at it. call it views. 4.7. Yeah, page views. I don't know why the WhatsApp app is acting like this. Oh my gosh. So just want to edit. Alright, active users, event count, key event, order value's fine. All these top tails are fine. I think average order is pretty close. It's gonna be this one. 149.81. Yep, exact. So it's really just these last four that are off. Alright, cool. Alright, we'll call that good. I wonder how I look when I'm on this white. You can't even see me. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. Alright, so other than that, this is the tool that I have right now, obviously. It's actually working, feeding data. Again, it's a beta, so that means it's not going to be the prettiest. The idea here is to be able to just see the basics pretty fast. Now, me getting them onto that page and just kind of get them started is everything, right? Let me see here. And then we'll get it pretty later. So all this could be a little bit more tricky with the chart. And this chart isn't the best in the world. It's just showing sessions and like kind of over a certain period. So the idea, if you guys have ever used SEO testing, I wonder if I still have access to SEO testing. I don't think I pay for it anymore, but this is a cool tool. And there's a feature that I want to show off. Okay, yeah, I don't even have it. They're not even gonna let me see nothing. Yeah, I'm done. Damn. Okay. SEO testing has a large chart that allows you to see where algorithmic changes have been made, and so that's kind of cool. And then you can kind of see the change in the chart based on an annotation where a core algorithm update has taken place, or other things. So for me, do the same thing and just allow people to see the changes in traffic and conversions that happens when a campaign starts, whether it's an email or paid or retargeting, or even something as, used to be kind of mysterious, like a TV spot from the first time it's shown and the QR code is scanned, and I can name those QR codes so we can tell exactly which billboard, TV ad, whatever it came from. Also, imagine being able to run an ad on the radio and check for when people type in whatever shortened URL you give for the radio in order to track that as a visit. Because usually a shortened URL, you give it to them and then it redirects to wherever it needs to go. Anyways, talking all that. Now it's time for me to look a little bit into what's next for me. So N8N, super bass, rag, creating rag on top of the local um, build out that I just made. I have Docker now, so using Docker with Olama is also a video I'm about to watch, and you guys can stick around and watch that with me. But today, I just wanted to kind of show you where we're at with Launch AI. Mostly, that was really the focal. But then we can go Docker and Olama. Okay. And this is important because this is like on the edge of what I know and understand. And this makes me very excited because
Hey
some of you
everyone.
guys who have been watching my content for a while, if you're on, especially if you're on YouTube, um, I did a whole series where I was showing myself building out organized automation using Chrome extensions, starting at Chrome extensions and then graduating slowly into actual tools. So, and it looks like this. So, having these tools, having this version ready to go inside of Stack Blitz and being able to just kind of play around here. So, being able to compare systems, being able to audit my current setup and do that against real-time data, like real actual setups and what's best practice, considered best practice in GA4 and GTM. So that's super important for me. It's been pivotal for my development. Um, just having that confidence, right? Being able to go create a GA4 property quickly. These are all things that are important to me and super important for my growth and the reason that I started this in the first place, right? Is I ran into an issue. So I had a client who was using Google Apps Script inside of Apps Script, which is something I've never used before. I'm not a big Excel person or Google Sheet person. I became one on that project. I learned Apps Script. I looked at it. I noticed that there was libraries you could load up, and then I saw that there were APIs for those libraries. Let me just show you. Let me just show you. How about that? Libraries. And so as I got into this, what really blew my mind was the fact that the different libraries were called things like GA4, GTM, and I kind of went down that rabbit hole just from seeing it. And here it goes, services and APIs. So you got some built-in stuff going on. We got Gmail, and then you can go advanced. Anyways, I'm not going to try to click around and find every last one of these, but essentially I started to realize that I could use Google Suite in general for this, and it's probably under the REST APIs, I bet. Anyways, extend Google Workspace. This is cool. So Google Sheets, Google Docs, these all kind of started the curiosity, if you will, and it just kind of went from there. But yeah, it's pretty simple. It's not like I had this random vision for this tool. It's kind of like one thing led to the next, into the next, into the next, and now you know, going to a hackathon at Meta headquarters this Friday. It's Tuesday, so I got a little bit of time, and I just need to get dangerous enough to be dangerous enough. One of the people that I saw speak at Tech Week was Web AI. I have an entire play where I want to build local systems with this, learning how to use it, taking my time learning it, There's no big rush. I don't have to break my back trying to figure out how to use this and be first. The idea is to be good, not first. And more on that topic, I'll say even in my own development, you guys haven't seen me stream about calisthenics yet, but I plan on doing that soon. In my own development, I've noticed that I'm not often the very first person. I'm pretty unique and I hold dearly to that. But what's really interesting about my approach is I get to take my time. There's no shot clock on this. There's no shot clock on learning, and there's no shot clock on creating and acting on this stuff. My thing is, let me get deeper into the principles, understand how I need to be using this stuff, push it forward at the right times, and be good enough to have a moat from how good I am. I'm not trying to have first movers advantage just to move first. I'm trying to be, early enough and also good enough to defend a strong position. So a lot of what I think I'm going to be offering in the future, as you know, the marketing industry is hurting pretty bad, is going to be data related and AI related with this local aspect for privacy reasons. No overpaying for cloud, no data scraping, no gatekeepers. This is beautiful. Unlock the real value of AI with local, ownable, and customizable models that you control, right? So there you go. Something strong that my buddy Max also mentioned um, is, allow people to configure things on their own. Allow them to modularly configure the tool to their liking. It's not about custom, custom, custom. It's more so, you define those boundaries and allow them to play in that sandbox and enjoy it. So it's the direction I'm going. So that's about it on this stream. I'm going to now go into kind of a learning mode. So I've got this theory, input, output. Some days are input days, some days are output days. What I've noticed with this content and how I want to kind of present it is I want to show you guys the entirety of it, the messiness of my browser, the tabs everywhere, the the whole thing. This is really how it goes. And so for me, I think it's important for you guys to know that there is a heavy, heavy, heavy moment in time when input is really flowing, and that's what I'm supposed to be doing, and that's how I feel more at home. And for now, it is time to dig into the learning. So here we are. Yeah, I use that. So it's for home network. That's really dope, actually. That could be huge. Nice.
hover.com for supplying you with 10% off your first domain name by visiting hover.com/techsquid. Check out their Find a Domain Name tool to find cool domain names with cool extensions. And since we're building a home server, let's just type that in and see what we get. I'm gonna put some domains on the screen. These are currently available that are related to home server. Get them now while they're available. And make sure to get that 10% off and support the show again by going to hover.com/techsquid. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you'd be interested in a part 2 where we go deeper into Docker and we'll go over some of the specifics of Docker layers and so on. And stick around, coming up, we're building that 23 terabyte server using Docker Compose. If you have any questions, come chat with us on Discord. The link to that and everything else you need is in the description below. All right, thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.
In this video, I will teach you all the main concepts of Docker, including getting your first hands-on experience with it. So if you have to use Docker at work, or if you need to learn Docker to level up your engineering skills and need to get started fast and understand all the main concepts and learn basics of how to work with Docker, this crash course is exactly right for you. First, we'll start by explaining what Docker is, why was it even created, basically what problems it solves in engineering, and how it helps in software development and deployment process. So you will understand exactly why Docker is such a big deal and why it has become so popular and widely used in IT projects. And as part of a virtualization solution, Docker being an improvement over virtual machines or the next evolution step, I will also explain the difference between virtual machine and Docker and what are the advantages of Docker in this comparison. After we've understood why we want to use Docker in the first place, we will install Docker and learn how to actually work with it. We will learn the concept of Docker images, containers, Docker registry, public and private registries, and we will run containers locally based on some of the images available on Docker's public registry called Docker Hub. We will also learn the concept of creating your own images and learn about the Docker image blueprint called Dockerfile. And of course, we'll see all these in action and learn all the Docker commands for pulling images, running containers, building your own Docker image, etc. We will also learn about versioning images with image tags. And finally, after you've learned how to work with Docker, I will also explain with graphical animations how Docker fits in the big picture of software development and deployment process. So by the end of this video, you will feel way more confident about your knowledge and understanding in Docker and can easily build on that foundation knowledge to become a Docker power user if you want to. And under the video description, I'll provide some resources to learn even more about Docker and become more advanced in it. But before we jump right in, it seems like many of you watching the videos on our channel are still not subscribed. So if you're getting some value out of the free tutorials I put out regularly on this channel, be sure to subscribe not to miss any future videos or tutorials. I would also be happy to connect with you on my other social media accounts where I post behind the scenes content, weekly updates, and so on. So hope to connect to you there as well. Well, I'm super excited to teach you all these, so let's get into it. Let's start with the most important question. What is Docker? Why was it even created, and what problem does it solve? In simple words, Docker is a virtualization software that makes developing and deploying applications very easy. Much easier compared to how it was done before Docker was introduced. And Docker does that by packaging an application into something called a container that has everything the application needs to run, like the application code itself, its libraries and dependencies, but also the runtime and environment configuration. So application and its running environment are both packaged in a single Docker package, which you can easily share and distribute. Now, why is this a big deal and how were applications actually developed and deployed before Docker was introduced? Let's see that to understand the benefit.
The thought crossed my mind that it's somewhat embarrassing to show the world while I'm a beginner. I'm not a beginner in data and analytics, however, I am a beginner at the engineering side of things, and especially cloud engineering. So for me, the reason I'm able to show it is because I do believe that I will improve rapidly and be able to show that improvement to the rest of the world, hopefully inspire others, and also to show what's possible in the journey, while also attracting people who are interested in helping or learning how to collaborate on these projects.
Benefits of Docker more clearly. So how did we develop applications before containers? Usually when you have a team of developers working on some application, they would have to install all the services that application depends on or needs, like database services, etc., directly on their operating system, right? For example, if you're developing a JavaScript application and you need a PostgreSQL database, maybe you need a Redis for caching, Mosquito for messaging, like you have a microservice application. Now you need all these services locally on your development environment so you can actually develop and test the application, right? And every developer in the team would then have to go and install all those services, configure and run them on their local development environment. And depending on which operating system they're using, the installation process will be different. Because installing PostgreSQL database on macOS is different from installing it on a Windows machine, for example. Another thing with installing services directly on an operating system, following some installation guide, is that you usually have multiple steps of installation and then configuration of the service. So with multiple commands that you have to execute to install, configure, and set up the service, the chances of something going wrong and error happening is actually pretty high. And this approach, or this process of setting up a development environment for a developer, can actually be pretty tedious depending on how complex your application is. For example, if you have 10 services that your application is using, then you would have to do that installation 10 times for each service. And again, it will differ within the team based on what operating system each developer is using. Now let's see how containers solve some of these problems. With containers, you actually do not have to install any of the services directly on your operating system, because with Docker, you have that service packaged in one isolated environment. So you have PostgreSQL with a specific version packaged with its whole configuration inside of a container. So as a developer, you don't have to go and look for some binaries to download and install on your machine, but rather you just go ahead and start that service as a Docker container using a single Docker command, which fetches the container package from the internet and starts it on your computer. And the Docker command will be the same regardless of which operating system you're on, and it will also be the same regardless of which service you're installing. So if you have 10 services that your JavaScript application depends on, you would just have to run 10 Docker commands for each container, and that will be it. So as you see, Docker standardizes the process of running any service on your development environment and makes the whole process much easier. So you can basically focus and work more on development instead of trying to install and configure services on your machine. And this obviously makes setting up your local development environment much faster and easier than the option without containers. Plus, with the Docker, you can even have different versions of the same application running on your local environment without having any conflict, which is very difficult to do if you're installing that same application with different versions directly on your operating system. And we'll actually see all of this in action in the demo part of this video. Now let's see how containers can improve the application deployment process. Before containers, a traditional deployment process would look like this. The development team would produce an application artifact or a package together with a set of instructions of how to actually install and configure the application package on the server. So you would have something like a jar file for Java application or something similar depending on the programming language used. And in addition, of course, you would have some kind of database service or some other services that your application needed. Also with a set of instructions of how to configure and set it up on the server so that application could connect to it and use it. So the development team would give that application artifact or package over to the operations team, and the operations team would handle installing and configuring the application and all its dependent services like database, for example. Now the problem with this kind of approach is that, first of all, you need to configure everything and install everything again directly on the operating system, which I mentioned in the development context that is actually very error prone, and you can have various different problems during the setup process. You can also have conflicts with dependency versions, where two services are depending on the same library, for example, but with different versions. And when that happens, it's going to make the setup process way more difficult and complex. So basically, a lot of things that can go wrong when operations team is installing and setting up application and its services on a server. Another problem that could arise from this kind of process is when there is a miscommunication between the development team and operations team. Because since everything is in a textual guide, like an instruction list of how to configure and run the